Commitment makes women turn into a raving bitch. He got turned down for sex for 5 years. If you talk to him about sex, he's gonna fucking blow up.
Telling me to just let it go is not gonna make it go away.
Kind of going through the pit. You have to face all the stuff that you didn't intentionally necessarily do, but you did. And so you're gonna have to dredge up the past.
Gotta clean all the skeletons out of the closet.
And just listen, just empathize, just care, just show that you care and bring it up yourself. This is the repair, all right? The digging up the old stuff and cleaning it out. This is when you haven't been to the dentist for a long time, to use the example, and you got
your favorite.
Yeah, this is some tooth extractions, right? It's getting that deep cleaning where they have to give you the antibiotics and, you know, because your gums are infected. This is like doing all that stuff, maybe some root canals in there, you know.
That's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot because you haven't been to the dentist in 10 years, you know. You haven't brushed your teeth in 10 years, whatever it is. Things are rotting and falling out. So at the surface level, right, a lot of guys, they don't understand why. Where's the woman I married? They're like, oh, commitment makes women not want to have sex. Commitment makes women turn into a raving bitch, right? No. What's happening underneath the surface is that it's years of neglect, right? In the way that we talked about, right? So in step 3, we talked about how guys are now communicating, allowing a woman to vent, validating her emotions, understanding that. But if you haven't done that for years, it's the same thing as the guy that's so resentful, because I love your example now. I'm going to keep on using it, where he got turned down for sex for 5 years. And now if you talk to him about sex, he's going to fucking blow up. He's going to be like, oh, he's got, you know, he's going to put 50 comments in there and say, yo, this is crazy. I can't believe it. Like, why would she even marry me? You know, he's got a lot to say about it, right? He's holding in all that stuff. Right. And he'll seem like a normal dude until you mention that. And then he will go off, right? So same exact thing. So, and what happens a lot of times with a lot of guys that I've worked with, and I always warn them about it, is when they start acting masculine, and they start listening, the woman seems to get even more pissed.
Well, because she's probably like, why haven't you been doing this sort of thing?
Right. And now that she starts to feel a little bit safe emotionally, which again, probably the biggest thing about being masculine in a relationship is creating emotional safety. That's probably the number one thing, right? Now she starts to take the stuff that she's got buried down and start digging some of that up so that she can get rid of it. And it looks like now she's just spewing on you. She doesn't appreciate anything that you're doing, and she's just making it worse, you know, and like you should never have even gone down this road, because now she's 10 times worse. But it's because all that stuff
has to come out.
It has to come out. So that's the hard part, as now you got to realize, okay, I didn't mean to damage this woman for such a long time as a man, because you didn't mean to. Guys aren't intentionally like, oh, I'm going to just be an asshole.
They're just oblivious.
Yeah, you just don't understand. In fact, they think they're doing the right thing, right? That's why they get so upset. But you did, whether you meant to or not, it was neglect. You did not do what was necessary. Even if it's not intentional, even unintentional neglect is still neglect. It still hits a certain way. And so she's got all this stuff that has to come out. And so you've got to be patient, right? And even, you know, we went through this a little bit because of our situation when we first got together, and I didn't understand it because I'm like, just forget the past, right?
You literally told me just let it go or something. And I'm like, this is not your decision to let it go. Like, yes, I want to let it go, but telling me to just let it go is not going to make it go away.
Right, because I didn't want to like deal with it, because I'm like, all right, we need to move on past this thing, right? And I'm like, well, you know, and every time that you had brought it up in the past, I'm trying to explain away what I was feeling and what I was going through and why I did what I did. But you didn't want any of that. All you wanted for me to do was to genuinely care about.
Well, I already knew your side because you had immediately gone to defending your part, which is what typically men do.
Right.
So I really already understood your part, but I didn't feel like you understood mine, because every time we had the conversation, it was you defending yourself. And instead of me getting to actually talk to you about it until that changed, you know, and you listened, and you completely listened, and you didn't defend yourself, and, you know, you did it the right way. But that's also why we're sitting here, because it's like we've done a lot of these things, and we've gone through a lot of these things. So we know how to fix it so that people can have a better relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't know. Like I didn't. And then when it dawned on me, and I was like, oh, all I need to do is
this
just
will go away if I listen instead of.
And even,
like,
but at this point, I don't care if it goes away, because however many times that you need to bring up a hurt that you went through, and for me to empathize with that, that's fine. Like it doesn't, because I understand now that it's just something that you need. It's not anything against me, right? Because you weren't trying to like penalize me or say what a bad guy I was or try to drag me through the mud. You're just trying to get empathy and understanding for what you went through, and for me to care about that, to care that you had to go through those
it
things.
Also makes women feel like a man won't do those things again, right? If he fully understands what happened to you, right? So like, even if they're in a relationship and the woman's like, well, you know, you hurt me when you did this, and a guy's just defending himself, it seems like he might do that again because he's defending his actions, right?
Yes.
But the second that he's like, I'm so sorry, and like, say whatever you need to say about it, I'm gonna listen, and that won't happen again, and you know, I'm sorry that I did that to you, that makes her feel like he's not gonna do this again. Or if it happens, then it probably wouldn't be as severe as it was before.
And that's not specific to women. That's, you can flip it and it still is exactly the same. Right? That's just communication in general in a relationship, is that either party, when they have a grievance, they never want defense, they never want justification, they only want
you're right.
Right.
I just feel like since we're talking about women, that's like their thing that they want to emotionally connect. That's typically something that men like miss, but you're right that it's for anybody.
Right. But it's more likely that men miss it than women do. Right. So, and it's more likely that it's built up. And it also is the thing that severs that emotional connection that women want. So, so this is the stage, you know, at stage 4, we're going to get to the good stage of stage 5, but stage 4, you're going through the pit. You have to face all the stuff that you didn't intentionally necessarily do, but you did. And so you're going to have to dredge up the past.
Gotta clean all the skeletons out of the closet.
And just sit there and listen and empathize, and don't defend, and it's going to be tempting when you revisit the past to talk about why you did the things, or it doesn't matter. You know, just listen, just empathize, just care, just show that you care, and bring it up yourself. Say, you know, I'm a different man now. I realize that. That'll
really get her going if you bring it up without her having to bring it up.
You know, I realized when I did this, when I said this, you know, I just had a coaching client of mine I was talking to, and then the woman that he was dating, she was like a former model or something, and she had some weight thing, you know, in the modeling industry, and he joked with her a couple of times, and he was like, yeah, of course, I'll love you no matter what, as long as you don't become obese. Right. And like, she didn't really say anything about it, but, you know, her countenance changed. Right. And he's like, oh, what should I do about that? I was like, well, you know, you could bring that up. You could say, hey, I was thinking about this morning. And, you know, the other day when I said that, I just want you to know that I shouldn't have said that. That even if I was joking, even if I don't mean that, I know that probably hurt you, right? Boom. That's...
Yeah, and you know, she'll have even more respect for you if you bring it up on your own and realize that you made a mistake.
Yeah, so go back through this is where you go back through your whole history and you find the things. And instead of, you know, and again, it takes away the ammo, right? Because if you bring it up, she can't hit you with it.
It's true.
Right? You know what I mean? If you're tired of being hit with it in a fight or whatever, then you bring it up.
Right.
Then it loses its
how can
power.
she be like, you did this, when you're like, yeah, I just apologized for that.
Right.
I mean, don't say it like that.
No.
But you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's the idea
Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah. So that's the thing. And that's the hardest phase. But that phase comes forth because you're not ready for that until you've gone through the first 3 phases. And that's where you really start to repair the relationship there. That's where you think that something that is unsalvageable suddenly becomes salvageable. That's where you're most likely to start seeing her change her actions. Up until that point, she's doubting you. She's like, I don't know about this guy. Like, why is he suddenly acting this way? What is he trying to get from me? Is he trying to just get sex? What
Yeah,
is he
you have
like?
to be consistent.
Right. But once you start going into the past and then validating the things that happened, and now you're cleaning it out. Now all that stuff, because the biggest thing, we've talked about this so much on this podcast, that destroys relationships is resentment. That's why the honeymoon phase ends. It doesn't have to end. It ends because, how do you go from loving someone to hating them? Resentment. Like it's so weird. It's like, we were so in love and now we hate each other so much. Yeah, because you built resentment. You got so much plaque on your relationship that it decayed.
Right.
And so this is reversing that. And so you can go back to before that happened.
That's true.